American Rugby is back, folks, with the MLR. The new season 2022 is underway. I managed to catch up on a bit of the action with the MLR this weekend. I kind of had the TV on a wee bit with the kids running around. It was a very wet weekend, so I got to stay home and watch some rugby. But yeah, we'll go through some of the games quickly and the results. You guys can let me know your thoughts on the games that you watched. Remember, these games, I think even in the States, you can watch on the Rugby Network. I know here in New Zealand I can watch them all. I can watch them live on the Rugby Network website or app. It's totally free. I think in the States, maybe some of them go to local broadcasters first, but I think you can catch up if you haven't seen them. So somebody correct me if I'm mistaken, but it's seemingly all the content's on there. So yeah, as I said, if you haven't seen the games, or if you're not a fan of the MLR, pick a team, man. It's a pretty interesting league to follow, I have found, for the last couple of years. Anyway, the first game, ATL against DC, from my memory, ATL were pretty good last year, weren't they, the beaten finalists? I believe they lost their coach and they had an ownership change in the off-season, but they still seem like a pretty strong team, beating DC 55 points to 22. I watched this one, I caught it from about the 65-minute mark, so I only caught just the tail end of the game. From what I saw, and based on that scoreline, ATL were kind of running riot. Yeah, they were, their backs especially, when I turned it on, were just having a field day. They had a big scrum. It was good to see the Argentinian ref. I forget his name, but he's refereed in Super Rugby before, so it's good to see him back in action. By the way, it's full-on summer here, so if you can hear those buzzing sounds outside, that's cicadas having a ball out in the, well, basically outside my house. But yes, big scrum, good backs, 7 tries I think it was to 2, or 3. Yeah, De La Vega, the ATL player, had like 23 points. I mean, Fa'anana Schultz, the American international for DC, got a try, but yeah, it's a pretty massive result from ATL. Maybe any kind of thoughts about them being a weakened side were a bit misfounded. We'll kind of have to wait and see as the season progresses. That's just one result, but sure enough, they're 1-0. They're first in the East, whereas DC are bottom of the log, 6th in the East after one round. The second game, AG against the newly formed Jackals. This game I actually watched fully start to finish. I was keen to see the Jackals. They're the newest team in the MLR. I was keen to see how they would go. And they got pretty well beaten. AG didn't make the playoffs last year, but they were close. They had a pretty good record. I think they might have been above 500, but someone, again, correct me if I'm wrong. 43-7 is a bit of a hiding. AG had heaps of pressure early. Dallas's defense did well to hold from what I saw. It was 3-0 to Dallas, not to Dallas, to AG. That's Austin. But, I mean, Dallas, with their first chance, managed to score a try. So the first ever try scorer for the Jackals is Campbell Johnston, so congratulations to him. Goes down in history for that one, but it didn't take AG too long to reply. They got one through Dominguez to make it 10-7. They got a maul try to make it 17-7. By halftime, it was 24-7. It was looking pretty ominous, like they could kind of run riot, and essentially they did. There were a couple of yellow cards to the Dallas guys. Yeah, AG, I mean, they certainly were a bit sloppy. It's still first game of the season, so there's going to be a bit of rust, but they'll have to be pretty pleased with the way they went. I think Jim Knox, that sideline guy, man, that's a hard job, but he's there to get people pumped. They cut to him a lot during the games. That's like my nightmare of a job, going up to complete strangers and trying to get them to yell into the camera to get excited about games. But anyway, power to him, getting the crowd excited. So, yeah, length of the field try to the blindside flanker for the Gilgronis at the end of the game. Yeah, pretty entertaining stuff, but tough on the Jackals. I know they've had issues with getting their own coach in as well. So, yeah, not the best start to the season, but any new team is going to struggle a wee bit, you would imagine. Good to see them in the league, though. They are, though, 7th in the West. Remember, the West's got one more team in the East. So, yeah, they're bottom of the log, and the Gilgronis are first in the West. The third game, the Gilgronis, the Sabercats beat the Giltinis, the reigning champs. Last year, the Sabercats were rubbish, but man, they are back and better than ever. I know they've got Heineke Meyer as the director of rugby, and they've brought in a bunch of South African talent. And boy, they seem to have hit the ground running. I know LA were without a few guys as well, but goodness me. I caught this one from halftime onwards. Halftime, it was 8-3 to the Giltinis, so they were actually in the lead. But man, the second half was certainly more of the Sabercats guys. I mean, to be fair, they pounded on the door of the Giltinis guys a lot, and the Giltinis defense held for large periods. Eventually, Labuskachny got one down the right wing. There were big celebrations with that one. That was an intercept, so that was, pretty pleasing for the Houston guys. Houston had a big scrum on 52 minutes. LA's defense held. Eventually, Cottrell got yellow carded, too many penalties. But there was a quick fire double for Houston. One of them was to Billy Brits. I haven't seen him play for a while. He used to play for the Seawolves in Super Rugby. They missed the conversion. It was 18 points to 11. But yeah, on 75 minutes, it was a penalty to Houston to make it 21-11, which essentially made it game over. So yeah, that's very pleasing. Very promising signs for the Houston guys to have a good season, because as I said, last year, and I think the year before, not kind of the best from the Houston guys. So seemingly they've got a much more competitive squad this year. Britt's got a try, like I mentioned. The new signing for the Giltinis, Hanko Hermajes, got a try, so it's a good sign for him for his new club, albeit in a losing effort. I think if the stats are true, the Giltinis had to make about double the tackles and had double the penalties conceded, so we're kind of under the pump for that one. Houston 4th in the West, and LA are 6th, so kind of one of the more close games is certainly on the scoreboard. The next one, NOLA and New England. I didn't see this one. I did see the highlights. It was good to see Bodine Waka. If you've seen him play in New Zealand for Taranaki in the Mitre 10 Cup, he's a bit of an excitement machine player. He was tearing down the left wing. He scored a try. He got kicked some goals. Well, 14 points for him in this game, so pretty pleasing to see him have a good one. The second try from New England was a maul, so tearing it up with the backs, and then the forwards get in there as well. Waka did set up another one. It was 24-8. NOLA got one through Feeks, though, that had made it like 17-8 when it was looking like it was game over. But 24-8 seemed like it was maybe back to game over, but then the NOLA crowd, to be fair, were pretty loud. And they did manage to kind of egg their boys on to get one to make it 24-13, but that was the final score. That was on like 64 minutes, so no more scoring after that one. But yeah, again, if the stats are true, NOLA more carries. So defensively, New England had to put in a bit of a shift to hold them out, but they did the job. So as I said, Bodine Waka, maybe the star of the show, 14 points, and yeah, pretty good shift. So good start to their season, because the Freejacks were another one of those teams last year that were kind of, I think, floating around 500. So yeah, kind of pleasing. New England are 2nd in the East. NOLA are 4th in the East. San Diego and Utah. I didn't see this one. Saw highlights. Ma'anonu back in action for San Diego. Pleasing to see. 39 years old, so still cracking on. One of the few players who I can say is legit older than me. But yeah, that'll kind of make me feel young for a little bit longer anyway. I think he came off the bench. Halftime, it was 5-3 to San Diego, so pretty low scoring. And San Diego were kind of in a alternate kit. Maybe, is that the new kit? It was real black, but I guess they usually wear kind of a reddy black, and that's Utah's color as well. So maybe that was just a jersey clash. I'm not sure, but they wore a different jersey that I'm used to. Augsburger got a sniping try. Nice one for the halfback. But interestingly, this one, like Utah were dead and buried. They scored 2 tries late to get a losing bonus point and a 4-try bonus point. So that was, I guess, one thing that was kind of pleasing. Like they scored their second to last try with moments to go. And then the last try was on like 87 minutes, at least according to the TV clock. Like that's a long time into the red. So yeah, credit to them for fighting back. 2 losing bonus points means, they are 5th in the West. And San Diego are 1st. So, yeah, close stats. Bjorn Basson, Matt Mould, some former Super Rugby guys getting on the board pretty well. No, 2nd in the West for San Diego, not 1st. But, yeah, good start to the season for them. Close game. That's the closest of the lot. And the last one, the stats weren't available for this one yet. The Seawolves, who were a bit underwhelming last year against Toronto, who had their backs up against the wall last year, playing I think the whole season in Georgia, not able to play in Canada. They will get to play in Canada this year, thankfully, but yeah, not the best outing for the Arrows, which is unfortunate, but first game, as I said, and they'll be back in Canada soon enough. Yeah, Seattle, I think it was 16-8 after like 55 minutes. That's when I kind of switched on to the action. So I saw the tail end of this game. There was a guy with broccoli on the sideline. Like, some things it's only in the MLR, man. Some guy like a cheerleader dude with broccoli in each hand. But the Seattle crowd is very loud, which is pleasing. But yeah, if it's broccoli that gets them excited, then cool, more power to them. The right winger, what's his name? Ross Neal. Length of the field intercept for him for the Seawolves that made it 21-8. That was a pretty nice try. He's a big dude for a winger. There was a substitute for Toronto, a huge prop. He absolutely flattened one of the Seawolves guys at one point, but they didn't manage to get anything out of it. But yeah, 21-8 for the Seawolves. So yeah, I'm just looking at my notes and I've got two teams that I've written as first in the West. I think maybe because I wrote the standings down prior to the last game being played, so the standings must have changed a little bit. But either way, we're only one round in. There was some pretty good action. As I said, if you're not a fan of the MLR, pick a team. All the games are free to watch. You can watch them whenever. Just chuck it on. If you're kind of without something to watch, you'll see some random stuff. As I mentioned, broccoli guy, the Gilgronis, they had some like, not breakdancers. They were like parkour kind of guys doing flips and whatnot. And then there's rugby on the field as well with some American talent plus some Canadians and guys like Matanonu and other big names that are out. Chris Robshaw was there playing in the States. So yeah, bit of fun. Interesting to see that the teams that did poorly last year aren't necessarily going to be as poor, and some of the teams like Utah, who was good last year, lost, albeit away. So maybe can't read too much into that. And the Giltinis. So, yeah, interesting times. We'll see how the season goes. I look forward to kind of following it as much as I can. If it's a sunny weekend, I may end up taking the kids out. May not get to see as many games. But anyway, we will see how things go. You guys let me know your thoughts. And, yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.